Okay, this is the October horoscope, and this is very quick. So the first thing I want you guys to notice, or I'm going to explain, Alt 4, is if you look at the chart, one of the things you're going to see is that this chart is set for October 3rd as opposed to October 1st. Today is October 1st as I'm doing this horoscope, but the chart itself is set for October 3rd because we have a Pluto station occurring exact on the 3rd. We're under it right now. We've been feeling that Pluto station for a while, but it officially stops completely and turns around and goes the other way on the 3rd. Sorry. Oh, now this particular Pluto station is important because it does pull in the last activation from the 24 Capricorn eclipse from this summer. So for anybody carrying planets between 20 and 24 of the cardinal signs, specifically Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Aries, if you've got planets between, 26 even, like 18 to 26, but specifically 20 to 24 to be exact, you are feeling this Pluto station. Now, this doesn't mean that it's bad. It also doesn't mean that it's good. It just means that it is significant. So one of the things that we can look for with this particular Pluto station, depending on how it's configured in your personal chart, is the possibility that great big things are about to unroll in your life. So whether it is an unrolling like a red carpet about to roll out for you, or unroll like everything in your life is about to become unraveled, like a ball of yarn unraveling, that's a whole other conversation. Pluto by itself is neutral in its expression. Contrary to popular belief, it is not sinister. Pluto is very neutral in its expression, and it is the amplification of power. Power is neutral. The reason Pluto is often associated with the underworld and things that are counterculture and antisocial and lawless, as it were, is because Pluto is about power and the expression of power, using and or abusing. The rules around which power is contained is what determines whether it is, lawful or unlawful. And these social rules or moral rules, whichever are in operation at the time, are things that can and do change with the fashion of the times. So morality today is not the same thing as it was 2,000 years ago. And social rules and conventions are not the same now as they were even 50 years ago. Pluto in and of itself is neutral in its expression. The reason that it tends to be associated with the underworld and lawlessness and criminal activity, and sex, is because Pluto is not afraid to go there. So whatever it is that is off limits, taboo, and verboten, Pluto will go there because Pluto wants to know the breadth, depth, and extent of which something is existing. It wants to know all of it, not the manicured truth. So with Pluto active in your chart, either in your natal chart because it's prominent and active, or by transit because now it's just moved into your house and taken over the demolition, Pluto absolutely magnifies and amplifies, remember this, the possibilities inherent in any situation. Where Jupiter will expand things and give us a lot of lucky breaks, or put us in a position where we are Santa Claus to somebody else, giving them lots of lucky breaks, whether they've earned it or not. Pluto magnifies the potentials in a situation. So you don't know the heights or depths or breadths of which you can go to until you're in extreme situations that really challenge you to reach in and find those parts of yourself and exercise it. Same thing with circumstances. We actually don't know the limits, heights, breadths, and depths of an actual set of circumstances and where the boundaries are until we're deep in it and we push those limits. So that's kind of what Pluto's doing. And if it's doing that in your chart, you can expect whatever house is involved, and specifically whichever planets are involved, to now be pushed to their limit. You're about to find out how far something can go in your life if you apply your attention and focus to it. So could be good, could be bad. We don't know. Okay, so that's why this chart is starting at October 3rd, 2019. Now, one of the things that I also want to point out to you that's very important about this particular Pluto station, which is right here, okay, is that this Pluto station is also going to take the full moon at 20 Aries.
Excuse me, there is a message.
Yes, sorry, let me get that. Here on October 13th. Now, come October 13th, one of the things you can expect to see is whatever this is, whatever that Pluto is promising, it's going to bring it to fruition, right? It's going to bring it up to the surface on full display on or near the 13th. Now, again, could be good, could be bad, depends on what's going on in your chart and what you've gotten yourself involved into at the time. The most important thing is that whatever those limits are, whatever the potential future limits are, or not limits, as the case may be, like maybe there's no limit, maybe there are no limits, like literally the sky is your limit. We don't know. You'll have a better picture, a much more clear and accurate picture of what's possible come 13th. So hang in there. Hang in there. Now, with that said, also some things that are happening this month is we have Mars changing signs and we have Venus changing signs. Now, when these two change signs, Mars will go into Libra and Venus will go into Scorpio. Mars in Libra. Here. Mars in Libra is a very weak position. Mars does not like being in Libra. This is the sign of the warrior and the diplomat's job. It does not like being there. There's a lot of handicapping and weakness for Mars in this placement. It has to act in ways that are not natural for it. So anytime you're pretending to be something you're not, or you're doing things that are not natural to you, you're weak. Like you're coming from a weak position. At the same time, Venus will have moved into, or around the same time, Venus will be moving into Scorpio. When Venus moves into Scorpio, it will be the same situation. Venus now has to act in ways that are not natural for her. She does not like being in Scorpio. There's nothing natural about her being in Scorpio. So she's coming from a weak or handicapped position. What's important about these two planets moving into their weakest signs about the same time is that there is a saving grace. And the saving grace is that they will be in mutual reception with each other. Because while Mars hates being in Libra, Mars loves being in Scorpio. And while Venus hates being in Scorpio, Venus loves being in Libra. So they will create a mutually beneficial relationship with each other. So they'll be able to help each other out a little bit more. With Venus continuing into Scorpio and pulling all that Libra energy, because Venus just left the sign of Libra and now it's changing vehicles, but it's still carrying all that Libra energy because of the mutual reception. Venus is still stronger than Mars, so Venusian activities are still favored and work better. Women and feminine soft skills. Soft skills are considered feminine, so feminine soft skills will win the day during this time period. Aggression, assertion, all that sort of stuff that typically makes people more domineering and conquering, the warrior, right? Overly assertive, all this sort of stuff, that will not get you anywhere at this time. So people who know how to extract favors and be a little seductive, not in the, hubba hubba way, but I mean, a little seductive in the, you make people feel good about bringing you on board sort of thing. They will fare better. Now, the other thing that's happening with that and with all of these other aspects, I just want you guys to know, it's not going to be great for everybody. They're still weak in their signs. So even though they can help each other out, it's like two drowning people trying to save each other from drowning. Like it's possible, but they're not, or they're still weak swimmers. So it's not a huge help. With that said, the people who do well under this particular mutual reception when it kicks in later in the month will be people who are used to smoky backroom deals and shady nonsense and all sorts of underhand and manipulative sort of stuff. It doesn't last, obviously, but they're going to be more emboldened because things will be easier for them around this time. Now, some other things I want you guys to pay attention to as we're moving through the month. There are some high points here. So one of the other things is that the sun will be in Libra. The sun will continue to apply in square aspect to, these Capricorn planets, South Node, Saturn, Pluto. This is not a happy position. The sun is not wildly comfortable in Libra, but it can make do there. It can do some things there. However, it is walking right into a brick wall because it's looking at first the South Node, which is kind of like stepping in the quicksand. Then it's walking right into Saturn, which is like walking face first into a tree. And then it's walking into a square with that Pluto, which is the 13th, and that's part of that full moon, which is really going to blow things like way up huge, right? So anything that needs to be addressed to clear the decks, as it were, to make room for the future, the 13th is when it's going to happen. So watch in your personal life what happens and things that you need to let go of around that time. Don't be resistant to letting it go. We're literally leveling the playing field so we can build new things there. So if you've ever seen them do demolition, where they've torn down structures and buildings specifically to put up new buildings, right? Bigger, stronger, newer, safer, more sturdy, improved buildings. That they have to raise the ground and make everything else go away first. And this is kind of what's going to happen with this full moon on the 13th. So if you find yourself needing to let something go, as inconvenient as it may be, or worse as it might seem, it's important because you're literally creating a blank space to build fresh, new futures on. You got to look at it like that. Well, I mean, you don't have to, but it'll make your life a lot easier to get through this aspect if you look at it like that. Okay. Jupiter remains in Sagittarius. It will continue its square with Neptune, but it's a waxing square. It's moving away from the exact square. So we're getting some relief with that. And while these planets are in Libra, it will also come back here. While Jupiter's in Sagittarius, we're also making a sextile to these planets in Libra, which will be helpful. So in terms of social activities and dating and mating and, getting all your social things on, this is a very good time. One of the things that you may find through this month, because of all the other aspects that are occurring simultaneously, is that everybody, including yourself, is a lot more focused on what it is that you really want and the cost that it's required to get it. So even in relationships, it's not quite that calculating, but it's definitely that focused. We're going to be a lot more serious about and honest about what we want and who we want it from in terms of what kind of person we want it from, and how much we're actually willing to compromise and not compromise. So stick to your guns. And for those of you who are actually looking for something specific, this is definitely the month where other people are looking for something very specific too, and not embarrassed or hiding it this time. So it'll be much easier for you guys to find each other. For those of you who are just out for a good time, well, this is not the month because everybody else is going to be very, very focused. Very focused. Okay. So Mars will move into Libra very soon in the beginning of the month, which is good. Mercury changes signs around the Pluto Station. The Pluto Station is October 3rd. Mercury goes into Scorpio October 4th. When Mercury goes into Scorpio, within a few days of that, it moves into opposition with Uranus. Now, Alt 4. As Mercury moves into opposition with Uranus, one of the things we can expect are some unsettling confessions, some unexpected, jarring news, certainly some traffic accidents for sure, definitely some vehicle snarls. But with Mercury Uranus, it's literally kind of like the big reveal, right? But it's the big unexpected reveal. So be prepared for some unexpected or uncomfortable bombs to drop in terms of confessions and truths. All of these things help liberate you because you're no longer a bondage to an illusion. You are now liberated from a lie and able to move forward with a clear sense of what you're actually working with. So for any of you who are dealing with uncomfortable things, as Mercury moves into exact opposition with Uranus, which will be in up to the 10th. So this week and all of next week is when we're feeling this. Have no fear. It will be a very good thing that is occurring. Some of the other things that we're looking at this month, let's see what we got here. Venus is leaving Libra. It's going into Scorpio, mutual reception of Mars. And, right, so most of this we're going to get into specifics because it's a very, very focused month. It's a really good month, even though it doesn't seem like that. The other thing I just want to finish up with is come October 31st, Mercury will station retrograde at 27 Scorpio. Let me get this out of here. So when Mercury stations retrograde at 27 Scorpio, just a couple of days before that, we're also going to have a new moon at 4 Scorpio. Now, this new moon is going to involve Uranus, right? Mercury is going to station retrograde in the final degrees of Scorpio, which is, never fun. And for those of you who live in the U.S., this is Halloween. October 31st is Halloween. So one of the things that we definitely want to be aware of One of the things we're definitely going to be aware of is where our children are and where they're getting their candy from. This is definitely one of those times when there's no such thing as being too overprotective. So please, 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 please keep an eye on your kids and definitely make sure you're don't let them eat any of that candy until it's x-rayed and checked. For those of you who are going out and to parties and stuff, be very aware of your drinks. Do not drink open drinks that you have not kept your eye on the entire time. There's a whole lot of nonsense and shenanigans that are more likely around this time than usual. And it's not that these things don't ever happen all the time, but we're going to have to see a higher preponderance or concentration of it with much more devastating consequences concentrated within this time around Halloween and Mischief Night. When the seasonal parties and people wearing costumes, anyway, so with that said, the reason I say this is because, one, we've got a new moon on the 28th at the same time that Mercury is making its station retrograde. The new moon is a dark moon. It's easy to hide things under a dark moon. The Mercury station retrograde always withholds information or obfuscates things. So there's a lot of things that are not being presented accurately or clearly. The fact that this is a station makes it even more of that, and it also makes the consequences much more significant. The two together means there's a very high probability that in many levels of life, for all of us, there will be forces or agents who are agents like secret agents, characters, players in our lives that are deliberately withholding information or doing a whole lot of shady stuff behind the scenes where we can't see them and getting away with it, until somebody gets hurt, right? Now, also, this combined with the fact that it's occurring in the sign of Scorpio, which is already known for backroom smoky deals and behind the scenes maneuvers and doing all sorts of stuff in the shadows that nobody knows about, this does not create a really comforting, easy picture. So that's why I'm saying that. So with that said, for the love of God, around this Mercury station, especially if you're out around people in situations where they're not easily identified, okay, costumes or no costumes, if you're in a situation where people are not easily identified, watch what you're accepting. Do not drink from anything you have not kept your eye on the entire time. Do not accept open drinks. Be prepared for the possibility that somebody may be trying to drug you or take advantage of you or hurt you, in multiple different ways, or your children. So please, please, please be vigilant and be very, very careful. If we can just get through that, we'll be okay. But for right now, around that new moon and that Mercury station, it's not, it's a great time for sociopaths, not a great time for the rest of us. Okay. Oh, such happy stuff, right? Okay, so that is your October horoscope. So the good news is for those of you who are looking for love and have been finding all the wrong kinds of love in all what you thought were the right places, this is the month when you will actually be able to find the person that you're looking for, because everyone is going to be very focused. So for those of you who are very focused on finding a serious relationship, you'll finally be able to identify the actual players from the fans, because the players will be out in force, not game players, but looking for love players, who are also very serious and focused on trying to find someone to partner with. And everybody is going to have their cards on the table. Like, there's no mistaking who's looking for what. So there's that. The other thing is there are some good news. So there are some opportunities here for some progress and some really good boons later, but you'll have to keep your eye open to see them. They will not walk up and jump in your lap for you, but if you're an opportunist in the best sense of the word, this is a month full of opportunity. Because everything is so focused. It's very easy to spot things that diverge from the pattern, and that's where the opportunities are. So be prepared to consider some innovative ways of thinking and looking at things and having that aha moment where, like, yes, the better mousetrap. And finally, this is a month of separation and cleaving. So we will find ourselves in positions where we are going to come face to face with the limits or lack of limits in a situation. But it will allow us to have a very clear idea of how we can move forward in better, more dynamic ways. And there will be some stuff that will come with a big reveal before the end of the month. So there may be some shocking things happening or presented to us that will liberate us from falsehood and deception. So even in our personal lives, those shocking truths and confessions may actually be the best thing that ever happened for you, because now you'll be able to move forward with a clean slate. So this is your October 2019 horoscope. We have quite the Bronco ride ahead of us. Woohoo! Mark your calendar, circle the 13th, and specifically the 28th through the 31st. These are your big hotspot days. On the 13th, we've got that full moon squaring Pluto, which is kicking off the last of that eclipse activity from the summer. Big, big stuff. If you have planets between, remember this, if you have planets between 20 and 24 cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, this is a very, very important full moon for you. Very important. So pay attention to what happens. For everybody across the board, from the 28th to the 31st, give or take a couple of days on either side, right about the time that the holiday parties are kicking in for Halloween. If you celebrate Halloween and Mischief Night around here, or whatever your holidays are that fall during those dates, be very, very vigilant about the possibility that there are people out there pulling all kinds of shenanigans behind the scenes and in the shadows that are trying to hurt you or your kids. So you can't be too careful at this time. All right. Have a good one. Bye.